Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're heading to Tokyo, to a place called the Setagaya Boroichi Market,
It's held twice a year.
twice a year.
Yeah, and it draws huge crowds. We're talking over 170,000 people.
Seriously,
Yeah.
170,000 people. That's insane.
It's a massive event spread out with 600 stalls,
Wow.
packed with everything you can imagine: antiques,
Whoa. I
clothing,
love vintage clothes.
toys, amazing food, you name it.
Oh man, now I'm really intrigued. So it's not just some, random flea market though, right? From what I've heard, the Setagaya Boroichi has some serious history behind it.
Right. What's fascinating is that this market has roots going back
It's
centuries.
centuries.
Yeah, and it's tied to samurai lords and even major economic shifts in Japan.
Okay, now you've got me hooked. Samurai connections. That's way cooler than just finding a cool vintage kimono, which, by the way, I was totally picturing myself doing.
And did you hear about the people buying shark teeth there?
Shark teeth, hold on. For real.
You heard right. We've got firsthand accounts from people who went this year, including that shark tooth purchase. But first, let's step back in time. Imagine Japan, way back in the 16th century.
Ooh, a history lesson. I'm ready.
It was a period known as the Sengoku period, which translates to warring states period.
Warring states. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're talking like samurai battles, shifting alliances, all that epic, dramatic stuff.
You got it. Constant power struggles were happening all over Japan. And during this time, the Hojo clan, they were the ones ruling the Kanto region where Tokyo is located today.
Gotcha.
They decided to create a special kind of market.
Oh, okay, and I'm listening.
They called it a rakuichi.
Rakuichi. Okay, I gotta admit, that sounds pretty exotic. Bring it down for me. What's the deal with the rakuichi?
Well, rakuji meant it was tax-free.
Tax-free, nice.
Yeah. The Hojo clan was pretty smart. They realized they could use this market to stimulate trade
Makes total sense.
and boost the local economy.
I mean, attract merchants, get people to break on taxes, it's a win-win. So, wait, this rakuchi thing, was it just like a one-day event?
Oh, no, not at all. It was a 6-day market.
6 days. Wow, they really committed to this whole market thing.
They called it Rokusaiichi, and it took place on the 1st and 6th day of each month.
So, like, twice a month, people could get their shopping fix tax-free. That's pretty awesome. But I'm guessing things didn't stay that way forever, right? Especially with all those power struggles you mentioned earlier.
You're right. Things changed when the Hojo clan lost power. The Edo period started.
Ah, new era, new rules. I see where this is going.
And the Setagaya Boroichi, it transformed. It went from a monthly thing to an annual year-end market.
Okay, so it was a big shift.
They started calling it Ichimachi.
Ichimachi got it.
Yeah.
So how did it end up being a twice-yearly event like it is today? Like, what's the timeline here?
Well, it was a gradual change. It happened over centuries.
Centuries. Yeah, that's a long time.
It wasn't until the Meiji era, when Japan adopted the Gregorian calendar, right, that the market settled into its current schedule. December 15th and 16th.
Okay.
And then again on January 15th and 16th.
Okay, so 2 sets of back-to-back days.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So we've got centuries of history packed into this market, from samurai lords to tax breaks to changing calendars. But there's one thing that I'm still stuck on. The name Boro. Why call it a Boro market? I mean, it sounds kind of cool, I'm not going to lie, but what's the story there?
That's where things get really interesting. Boro actually reflects a shift in what the market was all about. And you might be surprised to learn that this shift tells us a lot about Japanese society back then.
Okay, I'm all ears. Spill the tea.
So in the beginning, the market sold, well, everything.
Right, makes sense.
Like farming tools,
Oh,
New Year's goodies, all sorts of stuff.
yeah.
But then things began to change around the late 19th century.
I'm going to guess it has something to do with secondhand goods becoming more popular. Maybe people were getting more resourceful, making do with what they had.
You're spot on. That's a really sharp observation.
Thanks.
The Setagaya Boroichi, it started to specialize in secondhand goods,
Okay.
especially clothing and fabrics. And boro, in Japanese, it actually means rags or tattered cloth.
Whoa, so the name literally points to this change in what people were buying and selling. It's like how we use vintage today instead of just saying used, right? Like it sounds fancier, more appealing.
Exactly. It's amazing how the idea of value can change over time.
Totally.
What was once considered just rags became like a treasure trove of unique and historical pieces.
I love that. And who knows, maybe it even reflects a growing awareness of sustainability, Like, hey, let's give these things a second life.
That's a great point.
Okay, so you've gone from samurai era tax breaks to a market famous for its secondhand gems. This place has definitely seen it all. Now, I'm dying to hear more about what it's like to actually visit the Setagaya Boroichi today. Shark teeth, incredible rice cakes. What else can you tell me?
Let's dive into some of those sensory details.
Mm.
One of the highlights is the Daikan Mochi. These are these perfectly pounded rice cakes.
Okay, stop. You're making me hungry.
You can choose from sweet bean paste,
Yep.
soybean flour,
Ooh, interesting.
or even grated daikon radish as a topping.
Daikon radish. Wow, okay, I have to try that. But hold on, what's the deal with these 2-hour wait times people talk about? Seriously, are these rice cakes made with magic beans or something?
Well, they do come with a side of history.
Oh, tell me more.
Daikon actually refers to a local magistrate from the Edo period.
So you're not just eating delicious rice cakes, you're getting a taste of Japanese history too.
Exactly.
Now that's what I call a unique selling point. Food with a story always tastes better. But even a good story might not be worth a 2-hour wait in the cold, especially with those rising food prices you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, sadly, even the Daikan Mochi isn't immune to inflation.
I guess not.
The price went up from 800 yen to 1,000 yen this year.
Ouch. Maybe that explains why some people are going for the shark teeth instead. I mean, it's definitely a souvenir that says, I survived the Setagaya Boroichi.
Speaking of souvenirs, our sources give us a glimpse into what draws people to this market. There's one American tourist who bought a shark tooth for 5,000 yen.
Wow.
And then there's a Danish visitor who was buying traditional masks and ukiyo-e prints for their grandfather.
Oh, that's sweet. So you really can find anything there, huh? But let's be real. For a lot of us, the best part of any market is the food, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Besides those iconic Daikan Mochi, what else is there?
The Setagaya Boroichi doesn't disappoint on that front. Our sources talk about this nearby Taiwanese steamed bun shop called Rokaku.
Okay.
It's supposed to be amazing, even with the long line.
Long lines for good food.
Yeah.
Worth it. But hold on.
Yeah.
Didn't one of our sources mention something about an equestrian park near the market?
You're right. A blogger stumbled upon a renovated equestrian park.
That's right.
It's called the JRA Equestrian Park.
Oh, I gotta look that up.
It sounds like a fantastic place, especially if you've got kids. It just adds another dimension to the whole area surrounding the market.
You know, this is why I love doing these deep dives. You end up discovering these little gems you might never find on your own. Oh, and speaking of gems, one blogger mentioned buying an iron fish. Apparently, it's supposed to help with iron deficiency.
An iron fish. Now, that's a souvenir I haven't heard of.
Right. But, hey, if it works, why not?
Exactly. It's all part of the Setagaya Boroichi experience.
Totally. So we've got history, we've got unique finds, we've got food. But wait, this is just part one of our deep dive. There's still so much more to explore.
You're absolutely right. In part 2, we're going to transport you right into the heart of the market. Imagine being surrounded by 600 stalls, the sights, the smells, the energy. We'll delve into all the sensory details that make this market such a lively and unforgettable experience.
I am ready to be transported. Stay tuned, everyone, because things are about to get really interesting. Okay, so we've covered the history of the Setagaya Boroichi market, but now I want to know what it's actually like to be there, you know?
Yeah.
Can you transport us, put us right there in the middle of it all?
Okay, close your eyes.
Okay.
Imagine this. You get off the train,
Okay, I'm getting off the train.
and boom, you're surrounded by people.
Lots of people.
A sea of people.
Whoa.
Over 170,000 people are crammed into these streets, browsing 600 stalls.
That's a lot of stalls.
The air is filled with this mix of smells, sizzling street food, incense from those antique shops.
I love the smell of incense.
It's intoxicating.
Okay, now I'm really there. So what kind of food are we talking here? Give me the
Well,
details.
you name it, they've got it.
Lay it on me.
Traditional Japanese treats like yakitori,
Love yakitori.
hayaki.
Oh, yeah, those little fish-shaped cakes, right?
Exactly. But you also find international flavors, too.
Ooh, interesting.
And, of course, you can't forget the aroma of those Daikan Mochi we talked about earlier.
Oh, man, those rice cakes.
That's like you can smell them everywhere,
Yeah.
drawing you in, beckoning you to join that legendary queue.
Okay, now I'm really craving those rice cakes.
Yeah.
But let's say we manage to resist, just for a bit. What else catches your eye as you walk through the stalls?
Oh, it's a visual feast. Imagine vibrant kimonos
Ooh,
hanging right next to vintage leather jackets. You've got antique teacups,
cute.
well-worn toys, all sorts of curious little trinkets.
Okay, this sounds amazing.
It's a real mix of old and new, practical, and purely decorative.
I can definitely see why people call it a treasure hunter's paradise. But with so much to see, it must be easy to, like, miss things.
Hmm.
Did any of our sources have any tips for navigating a market this huge? Like, where do you even begin?
One blogger had a great suggestion. Don't go with a strict list.
Okay.
Just wander and be open to surprises.
Oh, I like that. Go with the flow.
You might find a rare antique,
Oh.
a piece of clothing that calls to you,
Yeah.
or even that perfectly quirky souvenir you never knew you needed.
I love that. It's all about the thrill of the hunt. But with 170,000 people, I imagine it can get a bit, overwhelming. Did any of the sources talk about the challenges of being in those crowds?
Absolutely. One blogger mentioned being totally exhausted just
Oh,
from navigating the crowds,
wow.
especially in the cold.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Another talked about long lines, not just for the Daikan Mochi, but for transportation,
Right.
even restrooms.
Oh, good point. Good point. So it sounds like you need to be prepared, for a bit of a challenge. What advice do they have for anyone who wants to brave the Setagaya Boroichi?
Practicality is key. Wear comfortable shoes,
Yes.
dress in layers,
Smart.
and be prepared to walk a lot.
Yeah, those are good tips.
It's also a good idea to have a plan for getting there and back because public transportation can be really packed during market days.
Yeah, totally. And I bet packing some snacks wouldn't hurt, especially if you're going to attempt that 2-hour wait for the rice cakes.
Definitely not a bad idea. And don't forget to stay hydrated. All that walking and browsing will make you thirsty.
Okay, so we've got the crowds, the food, the unique finds, but what about the vibe? Is it all like serious bargain hunting, or is there a sense of community, a sense of fun? What's the energy like?
It's a really interesting mix. You'll see some serious collectors
Yeah.
meticulously inspecting antiques,
Right.
but then you'll also see casual shoppers just enjoying the atmosphere.
I can see that.
There's this shared excitement in the air, a buzz that comes from being part of something so unique and historic.
It sounds like more than just shopping. It's an experience.
Exactly. And that sense of community extends beyond the market itself, too.
Oh, how so?
Remember all those nearby places to eat and things to do that our sources mentioned?
Yeah, yeah.
They all add to the experience, making
Yeah.
it a real hub of activity.
I'm starting to get why this market is so popular.
Mhm.
But let's shift gears for a second. We've talked about the history, the experience, but what about the bigger picture?
Mhm.
Why should someone who might never visit Japan care about this market? What's the takeaway for them?
That's a great question. I think the Setagaya Boroichi offers a glimpse into Japanese culture.
I see that.
It shows how Japan blends tradition and modern life.
Yeah.
The love for craftsmanship,
Yes.
unique finds,
It does. It does.
and that enduring sense of community you find in Japanese culture.
That's a great point. It's like a reminder that even in a huge city like Tokyo, there are still these pockets of history and tradition just waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. And there's still more to uncover about this market.
Ooh, really? Tell me more.
In part 3, we'll look at some surprising insights about how the Setagaya Boroichi impacts the local economy and how it helps preserve Japanese heritage.
Oh, can't wait. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back with the final part of our deep dive. All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the Setagaya Boroichi market. We've gone through its history, we've wandered those crowded streets, and we've practically tasted all that amazing food. But before we wrap things up, there's one more thing I'm curious about. What kind of impact does a market like this have on the local community?
That's a really, really important question. It's easy to get caught up in all the excitement of the market itself.
Yeah, for sure.
But remember, this event takes place twice a year,
Right.
and it brings this massive wave of people into the Setagaya area.
Right. With 170,000 visitors and 600 stalls, there's got to be some kind of ripple effect on the local economy.
Exactly. All those visitors mean more money for local businesses.
Makes sense.
Think about the stall holders themselves, of course.
Yeah.
But also the restaurants nearby,
Right.
shops, even transportation services.
So it's a win-win. Visitors get to experience this unique market, find some amazing things, and the local community gets a boost to their economy.
It is. And it goes beyond just, immediate profits.
Oh, really? How so?
The Setagaya Boroichi also plays a role in supporting smaller businesses
Okay.
and creating jobs,
Gotcha.
many of which focus on traditional crafts or selling antique and vintage items.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about the economics then, it's also about preserving Japanese heritage.
Exactly. The market provides a platform for these artisans and vendors,
Yeah,
and that helps keep those traditions alive
that's really cool.
and ensures that they're passed down to future generations.
I love that. It's like a living museum
Yeah,
where you can actually buy a piece of history
right.
and support local artisans at the same time.
Mhm.
But with all that buying and selling going on, I have to ask,
Hmm.
what about the environmental impact? Does a market like this end up contributing to more waste?
That's a valid concern. But remember, the Setagaya Boroichi is all about secondhand goods.
Right.
That in itself promotes reuse and
Okay.
recycling,
Gotcha.
which reduces the demand for new products
Yeah.
and helps conserve resources.
So the market, in a way, actually lines up with the idea of sustainability, like a more circular economy.
Precisely. By giving these pre-loved items a new life, the market really encourages a more thoughtful approach to consumption.
I like that.
And a lot of the vendors actually specialize in repairing and restoring vintage items,
Oh, wow.
which means extending their lifespan even further.
Wow. The more we learn about this market, the more interesting it gets. So we've got economic benefits, cultural preservation, and even a connection to sustainability. The Setagaya Boroichi really does seem to have it all.
It's incredible, isn't it? It shows the power of tradition, the importance of community, and the value of finding beauty and purpose in things that might otherwise be discarded.
Well said. Learning all this has actually inspired me to embrace a bit more borrow in my own life. Maybe it's time to dig through my closet and see what treasures I can rediscover.
I love that idea. And who knows, maybe one day we'll both get to experience the magic of the Setagaya Borichi firsthand.
That would be amazing. But for now, we have to say goodbye to the Setagaya Boroichi.
Yeah.
And to you, our amazing listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you a new appreciation for this incredible market.
And remember, the next time you're about to buy something brand new, think about exploring the world of secondhand treasures instead. You never know what gems you might find.
Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep seeking out those hidden gems of knowledge.